Despite the clear dominance of medium-range air and missile defense systems such as the Vidyas and Buck, there remains a critical role for more advanced complexes like the Prometheus, also known as the S-500. Today, we will delve into the formation of the first S-500 regiment. News of the first S-500 regiment surfaced as early as December last year, but it went largely unnoticed. The reason lies in the overwhelming superiority of other interception systems, at least in the public domain. However, a few days ago, an article in an American publication brought up some intriguing details about the structure of this newly formed unit and speculated on its significance. Naturally, our media picked up on this information, spreading the experts' assumptions, which we aim to discuss. Let's start with the missiles, or rather their numbers. As this is a key factor, it directly determines the ability to repel attacks. According to the article, the S-500 regiment comprises 12 launchers capable of intercepting up to 10 highly complex targets, including ICBMs and similar threats. The source of this data is unclear, raising a reasonable question. Isn't that too few? For comparison, let's look at its predecessor, the S-400. Typically, an S-400 regiment includes 2 battalions, with the exception of the regiment covering the Leningrad region, which has 4. Each battalion consists of 8 to 12 launchers, meaning up to 24 launchers or 96 interceptors per regiment. Of course, trying to impose the S-400 structure onto the S-500 is a flawed approach, but it is illustrative. 24 missiles for a missile defense system seems insufficient. From another perspective, a single S-500 battalion might have only 6 launchers, or 12 missiles in total. How effective can such a system be against group targets when the number of interceptors barely exceeds a dozen? Even ATACMS missiles are often deployed in comparable numbers, making it impossible to allocate to interceptors per target. Clearly, effectiveness suffers until we consider a likely scenario. The American author may have simply confused a regiment with a battalion, which makes much more sense. In the original article, regiment is explicitly mentioned, but if we interpret it as a battalion, everything aligns. 12 launchers per unit within a familiar structure. This raises the number of missiles per regiment to 48, sufficient for defense against attacks. In an enhanced setup with 4 battalions, the number of interceptors approaches 100, enabling effective defense against ICBMs given the S-500's capabilities. Why is the deployment of the first S-500 regiment in the southern direction significant? The answer is straightforward. Only the S-500 can effectively defend a large area against ballistic missiles of various ranges, including ATACMS. These missiles reach altitudes beyond what the S-400 can handle. The S-400 can detect ATACMS easily, but can only intercept them during the descent phase. ATACMS peak at slightly over 50 kilometers, whereas the S-400's interceptors reach just 35 kilometers, and not with all missile types. The S-500's interceptors, however, operate at altitudes of 150 to 200 kilometers, more than sufficient to counter any current or prospective enemy missile, including the near-hypersonic American PRSM. Essentially, while the S-400 waits for the right moment to launch, the S-500's interceptors are already en route to their targets, preventing them from reaching a favorable position. This enhances the survivability of both defense systems and the assets they protect. Another critical point is interception range. While exact figures remain classified based on the U.S. system, we can expect ranges of 200 to 300 kilometers for ballistic targets. The maximum range of 600 kilometers likely applies to the over-the-horizon 40 and 6M missile, with an active seeker designed for traditional aerial targets like aircraft. Its predecessor, the 40 and 6 from the S-400, DMONSTRAT, the excellent long-range interception results a year and a half ago. In conclusion, the deployment of the first S-500 regiment in the southern direction is a welcome development. It will significantly enhance defense against enemy ballistic missiles. Ideally, 2 to 3 such regiments would be required for comprehensive coverage of the area, but the presence of even one represents a substantial advantage that is soon to be tested in practice.